Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Pittsylvania County Planning Commission meeting, October the 6th, 2020. Roll call. Ms. Meese.
Present.
Ms. Henderson. Mr. Dudley. Mr. Harker.
Present.
Mr. Horn.
Present.
Mr. Haymore.
Present.
Mr. Stowe.
Present.
And myself. Let the record show 6 present, 2 absent. I'll ask everyone to rise for a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. All citizens of the United States of America will join me in pledging allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. The next on the agenda is a hearing of the citizens. Is there anyone signed up? I know people are still signing up. No one is signed up. Is anyone here tonight wish to address the commissioners on anything other than what's on the agenda? If not, approval of the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Haymore, second by Mr. Stowe. The agenda be approved as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand. The motion's passed 6-4, 0 against, 2 absent. Approval of the minutes, September the 1st, 2020.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Who second? Motion by Ms. Meese, second by Mr. Horn. The minutes be approved as presented in the package. All in favor, raise your right hand. The motion's passed 6-4, 0 against, 2 absent. Chairman's report. Ms. Belton. I want to thank you for the years of service. I understand this is your last meeting. You're retiring, and the commissioners really want to thank you for the excellent service and preparing the agenda, always having answers for our questions, and especially the citizens. I've always heard how nice you treated when they came into the office, and thank you for your service, and enjoy retirement. Ms. Meese.
Yes, sir.
You have a presentation.
Kathy, would you come forward? On behalf of our chairman and our fellow commissioners, I present these roses as a token of our appreciation for all your dedicated service, Kathy. You've been excellent in any questions and concerns we've had on cases, and we've had your phone ringing. I wish you the best to a well-deserved retirement.
Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5, Division 7 of the Pittsylvania County Zoning Ordinance, we, the Planning Commission, have been empowered to hear and decide specific applications in support of said ordinance, and to make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors or the Board of Zoning Appeals. In accomplishing this important task, we are charged with promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. We must ensure that all our decisions and recommendations be directed to these goals, and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and the best interests of Pittsylvania County, its citizens, and its posterity. Anyone here to speak to the board regarding zoning cases will be limited to 3 minutes. And we'll notice,
Those small ones up.
right. You will notice that we've got lights up here. Red light is when you start. The yellow light means you have 1 minute. The green light is when you start. The yellow light you have 1 minute. And when the red light comes on, please summarize and stop immediately. We appreciate your response in biting that, so we will not be here all night. On the agenda, if the commissioners approve, I would like to move item 11 to the front. That is under the new business. So these gentlemen will not be here all night, and this will be very quick. Is there any objections? Hearing none, Ms. Ragsdale, we'll start with item 11.
So the first thing under new business is a conservation easement. All of the documentation is in your packet. They are requesting documentation from the board saying that this is in compliance with the comprehensive plan. I will let you know that there is a portion of what they have submitted that is not in accordance with the comprehensive plan, and there is a possibility for you to exclude that. I believe, I'm not sure if there's anyone here or not to discuss that with you, but you do have that ability to exclude that parcel.
That is the parcel that's bordering 29. If you'll
Correct.
notice in your package is where Mountain Valley Pipeline splits the property, and it's a narrow portion comes in, and it's in the comprehensive plan, it is designed for it to be industrial.
Correct.
And therefore, there's no way you could have industrial due to the limitation of the frontage on 29, and the Mountain Valley in the back is right off of it's cutting it off. You can see in your package of how it's doing. And that's what they are asking to omit. Is that correct, Ms. Ragsdale?
Yes, if you so choose, you can ask that they remove that from the conservation easement and then approve the rest as being in accordance with the comprehensive plan.
That's what I'd like a motion is to remove that, and we approve, recommend for it to be approved. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, where?
Go ahead. Mr. Seymour, go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I move that we take this in the same vein, with the exception of that area that borders the pipeline.
Motion by Mr. Haymore, second.
Second.
Who second?
Second.
Mr. Harker, seconded. Any discussion? Ms. Ragsdale, you want to call the roll?
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Mr. Haymore?
Yes.
Mr. Harker?
Yes.
Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
The motion's passed by a vote of 6-4, 0 against, 2 absent. Ms. Ragsdale?
The next item is just the board reviewing that the Berry Hill Solar Project, which was approved by, recommended for approval by you and approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals last month, that you are determining that it is substantially in accordance with the comprehensive plan and our zoning ordinance.
Need a motion for us to do that in a second, please.
I make a motion, we do it.
Motion by Mr. Stowe, second by
Second.
Ms. Meese.
I'll second.
Any discussions? If not, Ms. Ragsdale, call the roll.
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Mr. Haymore?
Yes.
Mr. Harker?
Yes.
Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Motion's passed by a vote of 6-4, 0 against, 2 absent. Ms. Ragsdale?
The third item is the same, except it is for the Monroe Solar Facility that was approved a few months ago.
Same motion by Mr. Haymore,
Second.
second by
Go ahead.
Mr. Stowe. Any discussions? If not, Ms. Ragsdale, call the roll.
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Mr. Haymore?
Yes.
Mr. Harker?
Yes.
Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
By a vote of 6-4, 0 against, 2 absent, the motion passed. At 7:11, case R-20-021 is open to public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-20-021, First Piedmont Corporation has petitioned to rezone 1.32 acres located on Clarks Mill Road in the Dane River Election District from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to M2 Industrial District Heavy Industry to make the zoning consistent with their adjacent parcels of land zoned M2. Once the property is rezoned to M2, all uses listed under Section 35-402 are permitted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ben Davenport, and Mr. Tommy Stump, and Mr. Nick Setliff are here to represent the petition.
Mr. Davenport, Mr. Stump, will y'all come forward to the podium, please? Whoever. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Nick Setliff. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at First Piedmont Corporation. The only thing I'd like to add in addition to what Mr. Ragsdale said, we purchased the... Sorry about that. The only thing I'd like to add to what Mr. Ragsdale said is we purchased the property in February 2004. It had a double-wide mobile home on it at the time. We donated that to Habitat for Humanity, and it hasn't had a residence on it in 20 years. We would just like to bring it matching the northern and southern parcels, which are both zoned M2.
Any questions for him?
What are your plans with the property once it is rezoned M2 to go with your adjoining property?
We're looking at the possibility of building a new office building there.
For the landfill or for First Piedmont Corporation, for Davenport Industry, for what?
It would be an office building for First Piedmont Corporation, with Tom Wade, our Director of Environmental Operations at the landfill, as well as Ricky Harris, our hauling operations manager, would be office there.
So how big a building are we talking?
Yeah, two offices and a conference room. I believe it's less than an acre total.
Well, that's all the questions I had.
Anybody else wants to speak? I do have people sign up, so if y'all have a seat, after you get to come back and rebuttal. Ms. Ann Smith. Good evening, welcome. You will be on 3 minutes. time.
Okay. I'm Ann Smith. I'm a retired nurse after 45 years of service with the state of Virginia, the hospitals, and the Goodyear plant. My husband, who is now deceased, was a Vietnam veteran. He died as a result of Agent Orange. We purchased our home at 985 Cedar Road in 1979. We had 2 small children at the time. I'm here concerning these 2 rezoning issues that appeared in the Chatham Tribune newspaper and on signs posted around the landfill. The first is for the 1.32 acres located on Clarks Mill Road to be rezoned from R1 residential to M2 industrial district heavy industry. They are requesting to move their offices across the road. The next request is for a special use permit landfill located at 734 Clarks Mill Road and 749 Cedar Road. The comprehensive plan industry states it is an M1 industrial district light industry and M2 industrial heavy industry. The zoning ordinance standards control the density of allowable development that can be put into that area. Therefore, we are requesting this permit should not be given for a landfill. At the present time, the landfill has several violations against them, and it's on the top of the priority list and that is according to DEQ, the Department of Environmental Quality in Roanoke. I am in constant contact with Nikki Herschel, the manager there, and Nicole Tilley, the field inspector. I have reported to them the horrible smell. It smells like your sewage tank needs to be pumped out. It is on a daily basis. Sometimes it is in my house. I can hardly get rid of this smell. It started at my home the 2018, in the fall of 2018, and it has continued. I have complained and complained and complained. The message that I get is we are working on it, but nothing has changed and it's actually gotten worse. There are plenty of excuses like COVID-19, we can't get the people to work, and so forth and so on. It's got to stop. I wish that you people would contact DEQ and get what is going on there. You need that information. This situation has caused a decrease in property values according to the realtors, and we are beginning to be known as the dump site in the state of Virginia, as they are accepting waste from all counties. Please, I ask of you for the children who will inherit this problem, and as a voter and citizen of Pittsylvania County, do not allow any more expansion of any type to this landfill, as they cannot manage what they already have. This concludes my plea to you to help save our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you, ma'am.
Thank you. Any questions? Mike Bassett, did I pronounce that correct? Come forward. Good evening and welcome.
My name is Mike Basista, and I live on Cedar Road in Ringgold. My wife, Martha Cheney Basista, is the owner and operator of Cheney Service Center, a Mercedes-Benz repair specialist. While this community clearly understands the desire of the landfill to provide a more comfortable working space for its staff employees, we are reluctant to believe that it isn't a veiled attempt to establish a foothold on the east side of Clark's Mill Road, with the eventual intent to expand the landfill on that side. One can only imagine the future compelling argument that the landfill would make. Look, we already have an office over there. We might as well expand the landfill also on this side of Clark's Mill Road. It's bad enough that this community already bears the cost for the surrounding area's refuse. Please don't compound this by allowing this foothold to be established. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Sir.
Angela, is that Harris? Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Angie Harris. I live at 2721 Cedar Road, and I'm right around the corner from all these wonderful people that are here tonight. We had a meeting last Wednesday night with a ton of people, and I had emailed Mr. Horn, but it bounced back, so I'll just read what I emailed him, if that's okay. Good morning, Mr. Horn. Last night, several people in our community of Mountain Hills, Cedar Road, Clark's Mill, Cheney Store Road, etc., met to discuss the upcoming meeting of the Planning Commission scheduled for Tuesday, October 6th. We were advised there was a request from First Piedmont to rezone a small amount of acreage across the road from First Piedmont on Clark's Mill Road. This request sounds small, but some of the neighbors that attended that meeting brought to our attention a letter that had been received about First Piedmont wanting to purchase over 200 acres of land on Clark's Mill and Cedar Road. That disturbed us greatly because that was the first time we had ever heard of that. And it backs up to all these people's land that is just going to depreciate unbelievably. And we know what's going to happen with that land. We are already adversely affected on a daily basis with the tremendously toxic smells that are in the air and taking over our neighborhood, as well as the loss of neighbors who have chosen to leave our area due to the backyards becoming cesspools. They have this black plastic that they put up with these poor people that are lined up right at the back door of First Piedmont, and they put up black plastic thinking that was going to solve the smells and the cesspools that they're having, and the black plastic has disintegrated, and they're just staring at the back of this lot of God only knows what. And I know that today only begins the process of what we feel as a community will be the backdoor way into the piggybacking of the initial change of zoning on that small property that is up for discussion Tuesday night. Please know that we want you to be aware of this, and we will be there Tuesday night to show our opposition. We are not a rich community, but we love where we live, and we do not want to see the disembowelment of our little community's land depreciate any more than it already has. We have worked a lifetime to make our land and our houses our permanent home, and we see all of that to be thrown away with a stroke of the pen is so infuriating. So we will do everything we can to be heard and to stand up for our neighbors. Thank you in advance for your time, and thank y'all very much for listening to us.
Any questions for us? Thank you. Ms. Julie Owen. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Julie Owen. I reside at 495 Coy Creek Lane in Ringgold. I'm a lifelong resident, and I'm a voter in the Mountain Hill community. For decades, the Mountain Hill community has been feeling the effects of First Piedmont's continued expansion on Clarks Mill Road. My mother and father, Gene and Jerry Martin, were founding members of Dan River District Action Committee, which was formed by a concerned group of neighbors opposing the landfill 40 years ago. As a child, I can remember them coordinating meetings and collaborating with neighbors, hundreds of community members. These citizens realized then what would happen to their community should this dump continue to operate. I watched on as this group of folks fought hard for what they believed in. So here we are, 4 decades later. The dump has been given green light after green light by local and state officials to grow larger. Now, our residents, including myself, are bombarded with awful, disgusting odors every day, many inside their own homes. No one is monitoring our air quality, our water quality, pollution into our well water. We don't know. The creeks that flow through the landfill, unmonitored as far as we know. There are no buffers to help with odor, litter, and unsightly mounds of trash. The trash blows up and onto everyone's property. I personally have picked up multiple bags of trash on my own property that came from the landfill. The increased noise that we experience more and more with heavy equipment running all hours of the day and at night too. At some point in the last 5 to 6 years, they were granted a permit to dispose of hazardous waste there, and no one in our community was made aware of this. Inch by inch, this landfill has expanded over the last 40 years. Many people never knew it was there, but now everyone can smell it, see it, and hear it. Where will it be in the next 40 years? I'm not sure my children ages 8 and 11 will be able to stay on our 400-acre family farm that we recently put into a conservation easement. Who's gonna wanna be there? So what's the purpose? Why do we go through that trouble? If First Piedmont continues to expand, no one will want to be in that area. In Chapter 35 of the zoning ordinance, Section 2, it states that zoning was created for the purpose of promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the public. Are you all concerned about the public as it relates to our community and visitors to our area? This is an expansion, period, and it must be denied. We also have some petitions signed if you would like to see those.
Present it to Mr. Horn, please.
For myself, I'll take it.
Any questions for
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. Mr. Jerry Martin. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Sure I'm not welcome, but I'll just take that.
Yes, sir, you are.
I have lived in the Mountain Hill community for 73 years, of which 40 of those I have been living with that dump. We fought it 40 years ago. I was president of the Family District Action Committee. We fought it and we fought it and we fought it. The smell now is toxic, unbearable, and it is not, they say it's wet sheetrock. It is not wet sheetrock that stinks that bad. Why don't y'all come down there sometime? Y'all all welcome to come down to my farm. I'll give y'all some free water. And I'll take you a tour of the place. First Speed Box has promised to control that nasty odor, but they have done nothing. They promised 2 or 3 years ago, they brought us over to their nice, pretty shop and said they were going to work on it. We're working on it. Well, it's getting worse. The DEQ, which is supposed to be regulates the landfills, has done nothing. They don't control it. They don't do anything. Are y'all aware of this? I think not. A few years ago, the EPA designated the dump over here on Livestock Road, Quarry Road, as a Superfund. Well, guess where that came from? Guess where they brought that stuff to? They brought that material to Mountain Hill and put it on us. We didn't know nothing about it. There was no meetings done. They were given a hazardous material permit. Nobody was informed. Nobody was told about nothing. Our greatest fear is that any special use permit in the landfill issued would only allow them to bring in more and more hazardous materials and more dangers to our health and welfare of everyone in our community. You know, I just was handed this paper here before I came up here. I just wonder if every one of y'all, if any one of y'all knows what is put in a hazardous landfill. I doubt it. I've got it here. But you can find it on the internet. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Mr. Scott, Ms. Scarlett Lowe, or Love? Lowe. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. My name is Scarlett Loeb. I live at 453 Cedar Road in Ringgold, Virginia. The landfill is right behind my house. And when they sent out these letters asking for a special use permit, my question is, what is this permit going to consist of? I know we have another hearing coming up, and I'd like to get more information on what this is going to consist of. Is it going to be different chemicals, different materials coming into the landfill? Where I live at, there is a lot of foul odors in my area, and to tell you the truth, I'm trying to get away from it. You know, if you can't, myself, I can't handle it. I see it's creating a lot of health problems. I have a 12-year-old granddaughter. When she comes to my house, and you smell these odors out in the yard and stuff like that, and she starts to have nosebleeds. So these are things that really concern parents, grandparents, and everyone else in the community. I know, but what can we do to control this, and how can we get it controlled better than what it is? I know that First Piedmont is working on this. I know for a fact because I'm asking questions all the time. But I think my main concern is special use permit. I would like to have some more information on that before someone's actually granted a permit to put anything they want to there. I know this landfill's been there a long time. It's not something you can shut down. We can only complain about it and try to make things better for the community. So, other than that, everybody has some really good points that they are making tonight. And mine is about the permits. So, thank you, and we'll see how things go.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Mr. Garrett Yarborough. Your son, Mr. Ray, your son's first. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you for having us, board members. Although I'm a resident of Callens, Virginia, we have family land that's there on Clarks Mill Road. It's been passed down generation from generation. I know 20 years ago, my brothers and I used to play there in that area, and from what it is now versus what it used to be, it's changed a whole lot. It's not the same place as it used to be, and granting this special use permit will only hurt the environment that much more and decrease the value of the land for residents in the area, and all we could do is ask for you to vote against the special use permit. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you.
Just to clear up, a couple of things.
Right.
That's the second person that has said special use permit, and right now we're discussing the case of rezoning 1.3 acres on the other side of Clarksville Road.
Right.
I just want to make that so, we're all on the same page.
Right. Okay.
This this case is not the special use permit case.
Right.
Yes.
Mr. Ray Yarborough.
Sir, that's what I've got to speak against, is that 200-some acre expansion they want.
Oh, that is special use. This is a rezoning. Would you please come forward? Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I didn't prepare a speech, anything. I've had land on Clarks Mill Road now for 40 years. I was originally going to move down there and develop a little bit of it. And what has happened over the past 40 years is I've put it up for sale now several times with no takers. I asked my youngest boy the other day if he would like the land. He said no way, because of the previous reasons you've heard here. The smell, the amount of trash, and the noise that happens in that area now because of that dump. Like I say, all I've got down there is tax liability. I might as well not own anything. That's all I've got to say.
Any questions for Ms.
Thank you,
Yarborough?
sir.
Thank you, sir. Robin Rosson, did I pronounce that? It's R-O-S-S-O-N. Thank you. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, thank you. I have lived in the Mountain Hill community my entire life. My name is Robin Rawson. I live at 1125 Cedar Road. Since 1972, all of our protests and concerns have fallen on deaf ears to our elected officials about this dump in our community. We have been very upset by the fact that you cannot go out into your yard, you can't enjoy being outside. We can't even have functions at our church anymore outside. When we go outside in our churchyard, we've had trash blow in the yard. We've been in the church building itself, and the smell was so bad we would have to leave. We would have people that would have issues breathing. I am totally opposed to the rezoning on the opposite side of Clarks Mill Road. I find it very difficult to believe that with all the large facility and offices they have right off of 58 East, that they do not have enough room for 2 offices and a conference room. I have been in that building when we had a meeting back in 2018 and expressed concerns about all that was going on at the dump with the horrible smells and the trash and the debris. I think this is nothing but a covert effort to want to expand the dump onto the opposite side of Clarks Mill Road. Once they get that rezoning, then they will continue to buy up all the available land that they can. We are tired of this. If we were in Tuscarora or the Mount Hermon community and somebody wanted to put a trailer park beside of it, everybody would be up in arms and you would not vote for it. You would not allow the rezoning to happen. Why are we any less important than any other community? That our voices cannot be heard, that our elected officials cannot represent us, they represent Ben Davenport. I've been told, when we make complaints, we are told how much good Mr. Davenport does to the community. And yes, he does. He does scholarships and he makes donations. But is he doing this from the goodness of his heart, or is he doing this to win favor? We were told in 2018 that something would be done to control the smell. So far, that has not occurred.
In 2016, with an article for the Register and Bee paper, Mr. Wade said that they wanted to be good neighbors. Good neighbors do not pollute your environment. Good neighbors do not cause horrible smells in your community. Good neighbors do not do the atrocities that have been bestowed upon us as a community. Our land is just as valuable to us as y'all's land is to you. And we are very, very tired of this. I am totally opposed to it. When I looked up at the Superfund site on the EPA website today, it said human exposure under control for the Ringgold, Pittsylvania County Superfund search site, status unavailable. Ground waste mitigation under control, status unavailable. This is on the EPA website. So I do not think that this is just something that's innocent to have some offices. They already have offices available to them. I implore you to please vote against this.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Donna Clay. Donna Clay. Yes, ma'am, please. Good evening and welcome.
Hello, I am here to request that you deny the permit to the First Piedmont landfill. My name is Donna Clay. My property joins the First Piedmont landfill's property. I have lived there probably going on now close to 40 years. The smell at my house, like I say, living right there at it. I'm a property that joins theirs. Smell started in 13, early 14. For the longest time, I couldn't figure out what it was, where the smell was coming from. Year 15, matter of fact, February of 15, I contact First Piedmont Landfill. I have been in contact with them numerous times. I have a notebook here, proof. I have newspaper clippings about the stench, the odor. Not only that, the fires they have over there. I have more or less a book where I have contacted the DEQ, and I have page after page after page where they ask you to note time and day when you smell. All these papers, it's probably 50 pages, front and back. I have been assured since the year 15 that something was to be done. They're working on it. We're in year 20 now. Nothing has been done. It's not getting any better. Everyone here deserves to be able to have clean air. The dust that comes from that landfill is unreal. So between the site, the dust, the odors, health concerns. You don't know how many times it not only, I can't enjoy outside, I can't enjoy inside. All my life I have worked to have what I have. May not be much, but I would like to enjoy what I have without the First Piedmont landfill. They're destroying the neighborhood. So I am here asking you to please deny this permit. If you would like to see any of my paperwork here, I'll be glad to show it to you. Wakes you up at night. You have headaches, the nausea. You wouldn't believe the smell that comes from there. I know everyone, a landfill is probably supposed to smell. This is supposed to be, what I've always been told, an industrial landfill, not a household landfill.
Well, Miss, your time is up.
I'm not done.
But I understand. But as you see, we have other cases too.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
questions?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. That is all I have on this list. Is there anyone here that did not have opportunity to sign up, wish to speak on this case only. Come forward and state your name, address, and district, please. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Bobby.
Your name and address, please.
My name is Jimmy Williams. I live at 2578 Mountain Hill Road. Hey, Ron, Mr. Haymore, Morris, good to see you and the rest of y'all tonight. I'm here speaking. I realize that this is a special use permit for the building.
Sir, this is rezoning.
I mean rezoning for the building. I'm asking maybe that you deny this permit. As my neighbors have spoken, they are all concerned, we're all concerned about the landfill expanding. Once it crosses Clark's Mills Road, it's going to at some point. Mr. Davenport will be able to probably buy more property and expand it. Back to the other, what the neighbors are saying. Brian, you may be able to smell it, but from our community, it is the most sickening smell that you could ever smell. The people that live right behind it, I don't see how they live there. They're having to sell their homes or can't sell their homes because of property value. Mr. Davenport does a lot for the community, I realize that. But if this landfill was in Mr. Davenport's community, or the gentleman that in with him, I forget his name, their wives would be all over, because they wouldn't want to put up with this odor. And we don't want to put up with it. I would ask all of you to please come and smell it. No matter how much we describe it, you cannot believe how bad it is. And for the next time, we'll go deeper for the permit.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Is it anyone else? If not, Mr. Davenport, Mr. Stump, y'all. You have anything you'd like to, you have heard the people that's
Just
opposed?
briefly, relating to the rezoning, I won't go into the
Right.
special use permit at this time until we get to that. There seems to be a lot of questions, of course, seems to be a lot of questions revolving on both sides about the special use permit and the rezoning, about the odor issues and then about the expansion. I'd like to just say, we can talk about the expansion more when we get to the special use permit, but as relates to the rezoning, that tract of land, the 1 point some acre that's residential and the MP that's around it is less than 20 acres on that side. There is no way that would ever be an area for expansion. I'll address the SUP, and same thing there. This isn't about an expansion. We'll explain it when our time comes.
Yes, sir.
That's all I've got.
Any questions for them?
You know, I'm Ben Davenport, and I know that the landfill has had a problem with odor, and I know that naturally people are concerned about what we do over there. I've always been a citizen of Pittsylvania County. I've lived here all my life, and I want to be a good neighbor. We went there in 1972. This is not to be confused with the the old rock quarry that was over in another area of the county. But I can tell you now, and I know that this probably pertains more to when we talk about the what we're talking about in the other permit application, but we have had delivered to us a new state-of-the-art machine to filter the air. It is not operational, but it's on our site, and we've talked about it with Ann Smith and other members here. I know it's been a slow process, but we want to be good neighbors, and we want to try to be the best we can possibly be. I know that there's some anxiety about our having this one little piece of land changed over. There's no interest on our part to go across the road. It's just simply to get everything in uniformity. So that's just where it is. I'll answer any questions you have.
Any questions? Any questions to any of them? If not, thank y'all. It's 7:45. Case R-20-021 is closed to public hearing. Any discussion?
There's a lady back here says, can she ask the question?
No. I call for anybody to stand up and speak before I had them to come back. What does the commissioners want to give her?
Have you closed it?
Okay, please come forward. Well, I'll reopen at 7:46. Case R-20-021 is open. Good evening and welcome. State your name, address, please.
I get nervous.
Yes, ma'am. Take your time.
I'm Julie Griffin. I live at 565 Road. This rezoning of this one little plot of land, do you have land that borders on either side of this 1.32 piece of land that is already M2? You have 43
Ma'am,
acres.
speak to the commissioners,
They have
please.
43 acres behind this residential lot that they're trying to get rezoned to M2, along with the ones they've already got M2 on that side of Clarks Mill Road. So I'm sorry, but I feel there is other intentions just like everyone else. To rezone this, to give them what they want again and again and again, that it's going to just bleed all through our community. I live in one of the worst spots. It's in my backyard. I have pictures. I have been out in my yard mowing my grass, heaving at times. We have went to meetings to try to address this. They just want to teach us how the landfill works, which, yes, I guess we should, but the meeting was handled totally one-on-one instead of in a forum to explain to all of us. We have, I can't call the DEQ every day, all day long. I can't wash the siding on my house. I can't open my windows to have fresh air. I love this community. My husband is fourth generation, and I've only been in it since 2011, living in it, and I love these people. And I will fight with them long. And my father owns another piece of land, which is deceased, on the other side of this landfill off of Davis Drive. It reaches from my backyard to his. So yes, I have plenty to say. But 3 minutes is not long enough. But I want to know what your intentions with this 1.3 acres that already has got land beside of it, M2, and the 43 acres you own behind it that is residential too. What are your intentions? That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Julie.
Do y'all wish to rebuttal? Do y'all use to rebuttal to just what she presented?
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
The area that's across the street from us and the pasture that's M1 already, it's only, I think, 16 acres. It goes down a hill. It's only 16 acres. It goes down a hill, crosses 2 creeks, and then there's wetlands all across the bottom there. It's not usable. So putting another landfill, even on that 40 acres, is not possible. It'll be broke up too much, but it's never been a thought of ours. Right now, we're using it for the best thing, a cow pasture. Any questions?
Anything else? If not,
The back 40 acres is zoned R1. We're not touching that at all. We're just trying to we have 3 parcels. 2 of them are M2. There's one in the middle that's R1. That's the only one we're touching. That's less than 20 acres. We'd never put a landfill there.
any question for him? Thank you. Sir, ma'am, you out of order, please. You out of order, please. You had an opportunity to sign up. We need to get control of this. Any questions for those? Thank you. At 7:50, case R-20-021 is reclosed. Mr. Horn.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I have heard all of the issues tonight. First of all, let me publicly acknowledge the emails and the phone calls that I received. Second of all, we are not an elected commission or an elected board. We are appointed by the Board of Supervisors. I want to clear that up. Number 2, we as a commission have no control over the EPA or the DEQ. I wanted to make sure you understood that. I am aware of your concerns, the smell, the traffic, the debris, the health concerns. Again, we have no control over that. However, and with all due respect, Mr. Davenport, I was appointed by the Board of Supervisors to represent Dan River District. That's everyone in the Dan River District. That being said, with all of this turnout tonight, I am left with no choice but to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that we deny this request.
Motion by Mr. Horn, second by Mr. Stowe, that to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that the rezoning from R1 to M2 be denied. Any questions? If not, Ms. Ragsdale, will you call the roll?
Mr. Motley?
No.
Mr. Haymore?
No.
Mr. Harker?
No.
Mr. Stowe?
No.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn?
No.
Mr. Dudley? So the
two-
no's, were you,
They were agreeing with me, I'm assuming.
No. Mm-mm.
no.
So you were voting to grant the petition?
Yes, that's the reason I voted no. The
Then
motion.
I vote-
The motion is to deny the rezoning from R1 to M2, is to deny it. Recommend to the Board of Supervisors.
Correct.
Right. And my vote is no. You want to recall it? So-
Recall the roll.
Yes, that was confusing, I would like to.
Okay, so if you are agreeing with his motion to deny, then you will vote yes.
Yes.
If you are not agreeing, then you will vote no. Mr. Motley?
No.
Mr. Haymore?
No.
Mr. Harker?
No.
Mr. Stowe? Ms.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Meese?
No.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Okay. By a vote of 3, that's 4. 1, what was it, 4?
4-2.
4 against, 2 for, the motion fails. Is there another motion? If that's the case, then, Mr. Hunt, it lays over for 30 days. If it-
Motion that failed, does anybody want to make
That's
a different motion?
That's what I'm asking.
I do not.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I move that we grant this request to rezone this parcel across the road that one
forgive me, I don't have the acres right here.
1.32.
1.32 acres from R1 to M1,
M2.
sorry, M2.
Motion by Mr. Hawker, is there a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Meese. Any discussions? If not, Ms. Ragsdale, will you call the roll?
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Mr. Haymore?
Yes.
Mr. Harker?
Yes.
Mr. Stowe?
No.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn?
No.
Mr. Dudley?
Case R-20-021 by a motion of 4 for, 2 against, 2 absent. Recommend to the Board of Supervisors the zoning be changed from R1 to M2. At 7:55, case R-20-022 is open to public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case R-20-022, John Martin Gregory has petitioned to rezone a total of 240.12 acres located on Halifax Road in the Bannister Election District from A1 Agricultural District and B2 Business District General to M2 Industrial District Heavy Industry for lumber, wood products manufacturing, lumber storage, and a permanent sawmill. Staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Ms. Gretchen Clark is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Clark, Ms. Clark. Good evening and welcome. Do you have anything you'd like to present to us other than what Ms. Ragsdale has already presented to us?
No, she has done a wonderful job. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to take them.
Any questions for? No one has signed up to speak. Is anyone here wish to address the commissioners on this case that did not have an opportunity to sign up? Thank you, Ms. Clark. If not, it's 7:57. Case R-20-022 is closed to public hearing. This is in Ms. Henderson's district. Of course, she's not here, so if somebody could fill
Mr.
in-
Motley, I will.
Yes, ma'am.
In case R-20-022, I make a motion that we approve this request and send it to the Board of Supervisors for their approval.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Ms. Meese, second by Mr. Haymore, to recommend to the Board of Supervisors the zoning be changed from A1 and B2 to M2. Any discussions? If not, Ms. Ragsdale, will you call the roll?
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Mr. Haymore?
Yes.
Mr. Harker?
Yes.
Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Case R-20-022 by a vote of 6 for, 0 against, 2 absent. Recommend to the Board of Supervisors the zoning be changed from A1 and B2 to M2. 7:58, case S-20-013 is open to public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case S-20-013, First Piedmont Corporation has petitioned for a special use permit on a total of 224.08 acres located on Clarks Mill Road and on Cedar Road in the Dan River Election District for a landfill. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ben Davenport, Mr. Tommy Stump, Mr. Nick Setliff, and Mr. Thomas Wade are, with First Piedmont, are here to represent the petition.
Gentlemen, will y'all come forward, please, and good evening and welcome again. You have anything you'd like to present other than what Ms. Ragsdale's already presented to us?
Yes, just to elaborate a little bit, if I may. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Once again, I just want to clarify that this request for a special use permit has absolutely nothing to do, it doesn't give us 1 square inch of additional landfill space, not any whatsoever. Our landfill was founded in 1972 prior to zoning, and it came under grandfather, non-conforming, and the desire with this special use permit is to bring it into conformance with it being grandfathered, we can't change out any buildings that are on the property. We can continue to run the landfill, but we've got several buildings there on the landfill, one being a shop, one being an office, one being a scale house, that are starting to show their age and they need to be replaced. And we approached building permit to replace one of the, and that's what brought all this about, to approach building permit to get a building permit to remove and replace one of the buildings. And we were told we needed to go through this step first. Did I get that right? That we need to go through this step first, and then we could look at as needed over the next years to come. Some will be a year, some may be 2 or 3 years, but we would have the opportunity to remove and replace existing buildings. One that's very crucial to a lot of what's been talked about tonight, as Mr. Davenport says, yes, we know we've had an odor issue. We're working hard on that issue, and it's a constant evolution. We had a first generation odor control system there that was built, came out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. We accomplished some advancement in the odor control. I'm not going to say it wiped it out. We know it did because Tom had meters that we would test the airstream going in and the airstream going out, and the odors were greatly reduced. But there were still other trace odors there that it didn't capture, so we most recently had a second generation unit built in Kentucky, right? Louisville? In Louisville, Kentucky. It's on site. City of Danville we've cut a right of way. They're bringing poles in now to bring power to that. And where I'm headed with that, I'll try to get to my point, is that we feel confident that at some point in time, once we get that perfected, that unit's going to need to be inside of a building. It has water solutions. It has a iron catalyst that will capture some of the sulfur odor, or the sheetrock, as the gentleman mentioned, as sheetrock decays, it produces an odor. And it's a liquid solution that seems to work very well. But in order to be able to operate that year-round, we've got to have it in an environment that it won't freeze. And without this special use permit, our understanding is we couldn't build a building. We can't take down and replace an existing building. That is entirely what this special use permit request is about, is to have the ability, as we move forward, to be able to replace buildings that are there that need replacing, and then if we need to add one, for example, like on this odor control system. I would like to make one more comment in response to a request, if you so choose to approve this for us. In the staff summary, there were 3 recommendations. The first recommendation, it's on the second page that I have. The first recommendation was a landscape buffer with a minimum of 20 feet wide, comprised of any existing vegetation. Goes on to say vegetation at least 15 feet in height. New plantings, minimum of 6 feet high at the time of planting. We're fine with that. We can comply with that, no problem. We're okay with that and would proffer that. 2, the landfill must remain permitted through the Department of Environmental Quality and in compliance with all requirements of that permit. We're perfectly okay with that. The third item that says we must maintain a minimum of 100-foot setback from any residential property line. Number 2 already has setback requirements in it by DEQ. And the setback requirement with DEQ that's been in place now since the last 81, okay, is 50 feet from the property boundary. And all of that has already been established there. And just real quick, if I may step around here, what we've got is, this is a cutaway looking at a cross section of the landfill. And on the greater than 91 feet off the property line. Pull it back into 100, you can see instead of having a 3-to-1 slope like this, it's already built, we have to pull it back into this blue line. That line is much steeper. DEQ has a requirement that a slope can't be more than 3-to-1. If it's steeper, it's not stable. So we're already tied in on all of the boundaries at 50 feet. So I think we covered that in, or Ms. Ragsdale covered that in item 2, when she says that the landfill must remain permitted through the Department of Environmental Quality. And that permitting does have siting requirements in it. It was in our application package. It talked about the sightings and the setbacks, and we comply with all of those. So we would respectfully request the removal of item 3 as it's covered in item 2.
Any questions?
Tommy, are you telling us that it's not going, you're not going to expand the landfill at all?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. This is all about being able to replace those buildings that are aging and need replacing, and then the potential, like I said, for an additional building like the odor control system, being able to enclose that. But absolutely not. The permit that comes from DEQ is a Part A siting and a Part B design, and that's all in, done, and finished, and it's all in that 123-acre tract, and this doesn't give us any additional, I can assure you that it doesn't give us any additional approval of any additional land. This whole thing got started when we wanted to move a building and replace it, and we went to building inspections, and they said, you're grandfathered, you're non-conforming, you existed before zoning, you need to come into conformance, and that's the reason for the request, so we can replace buildings. That's it.
And did I understand you correctly when you said that some of the buildings you were talking about constructing might be something that would enhance the, I mean, to get rid of the odor and so forth?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So naturally, these, not to interrupt you, these buildings would be on that side of Clarksville Road at the current site?
Absolutely, absolutely. They would be at the toe of the trash where our drainage system goes and our leachate pipes. And that's, we would tie it into that, pull a vacuum. That's where the odor comes from, is from the bottom and out the vents. We'd pull it through this system that's sitting there ready to be installed. But yeah, that's something that as we finally perfect this, right now it's portable. It's in separate units. It's in poly units. It's fans and blowers and mixing tanks, and it's all portable. But once we get it finalized and we tweak everything to cover all the odors we're dealing with, I feel like it's going to have to be in some type of enclosure for winter. Would you agree? It's got it. It's because there's liquid solutions in there. Otherwise, you know, if we don't have it and we can't put a building up,
you can't use it. Obviously,
you've got to winterize it and shut it down. So then we got complaints all winter. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say to Mr. Stump, thank you for explaining that further. I think you've done a wonderful job in explaining it. I hope the citizens in that area have a better understanding. I know I do. That y'all are making every effort that you can to try to be a good neighbor in that area to resolve these issues. And that impresses me. Now I understand that big operated machinery that controls the odor system will, I think, show a lot of results in the end, and hoping we can resolve the issue.
I think so.
Thank you so much.
Is that the, Mr. Hunt and Ms. Ragsdale, then, if I understand this correctly, if this special use permit is granted, it will bring them into compliance with the county ordinance. where now they are not in the county ordinance by being grandfathered in. Is that correct?
Correct. So when zoning was adopted, their properties were zoned M2. And under the M2 zoning classification, a landfill is a permitted use, but it is permitted by special use permit. Because they were never officially granted a special use permit, they were considered legal nonconforming and they were grandfathered. So our ordinance does not allow the expansion of a legal nonconforming use. So in order to bring them into compliance and allow them to move their buildings or to add additions onto buildings or construct new buildings, we need to bring them into compliance first. So that's what this process is about.
And to Mr. Hunt and you again, well, in our recommendation for about the 100-foot setback, where the DEQ, are you familiar with the permit and have they stated the requirements of the slope? Have they presented that correctly and we were incorrect in requesting this third item?
I believe so. When I spoke with Nick earlier, I did look into that, and so that is one of their requirements is the 50-foot setback. So as long as they stay, I'm assuming, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, DEQ monitors their compliance with their permit. So as long as they remain permitted and in compliance, then they would be in compliance with that 50-foot setback.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So just to be clear, this
Yes, sir.
special use permit is only so that they can obtain a building permit, for lack of better, that's it, right? Bottom line.
Correct. And I will add that even though the property across the road, even if that is rezoned, M2 still requires a special use permit for a landfill. So if down the road they ever did want to decide to expand, they would have to go through this process again, and there would be the opportunity for that to be denied. Just to throw that out there, that is a requirement.
I have
Any more?
I have nothing else.
Okay, stand by, I'm sure somebody, no one has signed up to speak on this case. I think, so I'm giving the opportunity, can everybody hear me? I'm giving the opportunity, if you would like to come and speak, please come forward, state your name, address, please.
Jimmy Williams.
And y'all will get the opportunity to come back and rebuttal. Welcome and good evening again.
Again, my name's still Jerry Williams. I live in Mountain Hill. Would you please tell me what he said? We couldn't hear about that. If somebody explain.
Jimmy, I asked him the question. They cannot extend the landfill 1 inch. It's only for buildings only, and the buildings themselves will be used to enhance equipment that will do away with odors.
Did I not understand what you say about replacing the building?
Possible replacing the buildings, yes. To house the equipment that cannot be housed during the winter months as it stands right now.
Jimmy, if I did my homework correctly also, since they built the new truck terminal on 58 East, most of their trucks are stored and or serviced at that truck terminal. The current one that they have on site is old, dilapidated, and too big for their needs. So my understanding was they wanted to demolish it and construct a smaller one at the same place, along with the building to house the odor reduction equipment.
So the first building is for offices.
I have not heard anything about offices
You know,
here.
I thought that was first. You know,
That's the other zone.
I'm sorry, did I not understand him to say that this building's, changing the building would eliminate the odor?
It would help eliminate the odor. I've never heard him say it would eliminate it
The
completely.
equipment that filters the odor has to be housed for winter, housed in a building in a controlled atmosphere, or else it would have to be winterized like a motorhome and stored during the winter months. Well, during the winter month, the odor's still gonna be there unless this machinery is operating.
Now, is it operating currently?
I can't answer that. Is it currently operating?
Sir, you just address the commissioners. They'll be able to answer your questions when they have a time to come back to rebut, if they want to.
My address to you is it operating currently? And if it is, why is it odor now with it not being in the building? If it's got to be in the building in the wintertime to operate, how is that going to eliminate the odor? You understand what I mean? That's my question.
I'm not an engineer. I don't have an answer for you, sir.
Now in the summertime, and we have an odor, what you gonna do in the wintertime when you put it in the building? How is the building, it being in the building, gonna eliminate?
Sir, your time is up. I appreciate it, and thank you. Sir, will you please?
But you don't live in that community. You should live over.
Thank you, sir. Is it anyone else wish? Yes, ma'am, please come forward. State your name and address since it's not signed up on the sheet, please.
My name is Julie Griffin. I live at 565 Cedar Road. I understand that this is to bring them into compliance, and I'm thinking that that might be a good thing. It should be a good thing, but there are compliances that we don't understand and we don't know about. Is the methane going to start being pumped out? That's one of the questions we've asked in our community. Because right now it's supposed to be burned off, or we're just breathing it, or whatever. But I'm understanding there's a way of pumping it off. Is this going to cause us more dangers? Is there this odor burning system or whatever they use? We don't understand it, how it works, or how it's going to affect us in the future. That's why we are wondering about this special unit, this permit. Yes, it's to make things better, but what other issues is it going to cause?
This special use permit came about when they applied to build a building, and the permit people says they are not in compliance. That's the reason they applying for the permit.
I understand that. I know it's to bring it up to date.
Yes, ma'am.
But being we do not understand what up to date actually means either. What other dangers could there be with the odor, getting rid of the odor? Is what my question is.
Ma'am, your time is up. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Please come forward. Good evening and welcome. State your name, please.
Thank you. Jerry Martin, Ford Creek Lane, Ringo, Virginia.
Speak into the mic.
Put in the mic.
Speak into the mic, please.
Pull it down, yeah.
Right here. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. I'm Jerry Martin. What? They just said that it was the landfill was only 130 some acres, if I'm not correct. I stood right there and listened to it. Why are we rezoning 221 acres?
We are not rezoning, sir. We are only issuing a special use
Why
permit.
are you getting a special use permit on 223 acres for the landfill if it's not going to expand? You got 100 acres here that's not accountable for. I mean, where is it going? Did it just, I'm serious, I'm not trying to be smart, but I'm saying if you got 130 some acres, that's all we're going to put in the landfill.
Sir, speak it to the mic.
That's all we're going to put in the landfill, 130 some acres now, as far as it's going. But according to the brochure, he's special use permit is calling for 221 or 23 acres. Where's the other? What are you going to do for the other 100 acres?
So I might be able to clear some of that up.
Ms. Rexdale, will you
When we total up the acres, we total up the acreage for all of the parcels. So what he's referring to is the acreage that they are permitted to operate on through DEQ. So they're two different things. He may not be operating on the entire parcel. There may just be a portion that touches that parcel, so we're required to include it in our special use permit. Whereas with his permit for DEQ, it may not go with the parcel, it goes with their layout of land, so they may only be utilizing that 100 and however many acres, but the total project for our purposes is this 224. So that's why they're different.
Oh, I didn't see that light the first time. So I got one more minute. Well, I understand that. I just wished, in conclusion, I just wish that y'all could smell the odor. I mean, I just wish y'all could smell it. We have to live with it, try to live with it and hope that we can survive. It's not easy. I rode up and down the road. I drove a tractor up the road Sunday on the tractor. Sunday, a pretty day, and I could smell it. Sunday on a clear day, is it working? They say it's in operation now. Which light do I stop when it turns red? Okay, it just turned red.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for him? Is it anyone else? Last call.
Lady back and lady
Good evening. Come forward, please. Please state your name and address, please, and good evening and welcome.
My name is Terry Chaplin. I live at 2190 Mountain Hill Road in Ringgold. And so I do have a question because it seems that this has turned out to be a technical issue for the request for the special permit for the landfill. And that's what it says on the agenda, is that this is a special use permit for a landfill request. But it seems that the zoning on the property already allows the landfill. But if all they're doing is really asking to be able to build a building on the property, then why is it a special use permit for a landfill and not a special use permit for a building permit?
Ms. Ragsdale, you want to try to explain to her?
So zoning looks at the total use. So we don't differentiate between the landfill and the buildings that are needed to operate the landfill. We look at it as the whole thing is the total use. So any of the buildings that are needed to operate a landfill, we consider the use itself as a landfill.
Okay, but did you not say earlier that the property is already zoned M2, which allows the landfill?
Yes, ma'am, but it only allows a landfill if a special use permit is granted. However, they've been in operation since before zoning code was adopted. And so any use that was in operation before we adopted zoning code in 91, we consider grandfathered. So they're allowed to continue as is indefinitely. However, that use cannot be expanded or modified. And that, for us, when they came in and asked for the building permit, if they were to remove any of the buildings and relocate them, tearing the buildings down and want to rebuild them, that would be the expansion of a legal non-conforming use. So we cannot allow them to do that unless they were granted a special use permit, bringing their use into compliance.
Okay, so in your view, if this use is permitted tonight, then the statement that has been made that not one additional inch of space will be used for the landfill is going to be a correct statement under the action taken by the board tonight.
Yes, so they cannot expand. If they were to expand outside of what they're currently operating on, they would have to come back and ask for another special use permit for a separate piece of property. They're permitted through DEQ for what they already have, so they cannot expand outside of that. And it is my understanding that they are nowhere near filling the cells that have been permitted. They've only filled a small portion of the cells, so they're nowhere close to needing to expand, and they may be able to expand on that more than I can. But there are two permitting processes that would have to occur in order for them to expand outside of what they're currently operating on.
Okay, so a lot of the comments that you've heard tonight have been directed because people think that this is a request for this board to allow rezoning to expand the landfill.
Ma'am, your time is up.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
I'm gonna finish.
But
I think that you can tell from what was said here tonight that there is distrust between the citizens and the community and for the corporation that's asking for the rezoning. And I thank you for listening to everybody tonight. But I don't really think that this was explained well enough in the literature that was been sent out so that people understood coming in what was going on.
Thank you. Your time is up.
I agree with that.
One last call. Anybody else? Good evening. Welcome. State your name and address, please, and pull the mic down so we may hear. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jean Martin. I live at 837 Coy Creek Lane in Ringgold, near the dump. Coy Creek Lane is actually our driveway. It's a mile long. And we have approximately 4 families living there. We are very close to the landfill site, and we have lived with it for 40 years. And I think you can understand from everyone who's spoken tonight that this is a real emotional issue for us and a real horror to live in. We have heard over and over and over from Piedmont that they want to be good neighbors. They are not. They have not been, and I don't expect in the future they're going to be. And any expansion of that business is only going to cause more health care concerns for us. We're going to have to deal with those odors. I drive by there every day, every morning on my way to work. In the wintertime, I have to turn off my heat in the car when it's 20 degrees outside because the odor is so bad I get nauseous. I can barely breathe. And I'm just at the point of just wanting to scream. These people make promises. They haven't been kept. They are not going to keep them, I don't believe. We have been assured and assured and assured that they're going to do something about these issues. The trucks are terrible. I had to put a new windshield in my car 2 weeks ago because one of those trucks threw a rock this size into my windshield. There was no question I was going in one direction, the truck in another direction, and there were no other cars on the road at the time. It hit my windshield. I saw it coming. There's danger for our children. There's these odors that are, I believe, dangerous to our health. And I wish you all would give some consideration to all of us. I think some of our people have spoken really eloquently tonight to the issues. I'm standing here shaking because I am so upset that we are being treated this way. And I would appreciate if we could get some help from you all. I know you're not elected officials. We get nothing from anybody. Mr. Davenport pours money in and gets what he wants. And I think it's time we, the little people, should be heard. Thank you.
Any questions? Anyone else? Good evening, welcome again.
My name is Robin Rawson, 1125 Cedar Road. I have 2 questions. What points of ingress and egress do you intend to use for these special use permits on the properties? You have an entrance on Cedar Road, and you also have a 50-foot easement on Mountain Hill Road. My second question is, in 2016, Tom Wade, in an article to the newspaper, said there was a 25-year life expectancy left on the dump. So there's about 21 years left now. What are you planning to do to close it out when that life expectancy is completed?
Thank you. Any questions for? Anyone else? Mr. Davenport, Mr. Stump, Mr. Wade, Mr. Sutherland.
As has been said, we're not expanding the footprint at all of the landfill. The part of the landfill the other part of the landfill, you have to have cover dirt in order to make a landfill function. And that's where we get our cover from is part of the other area of the other acreage. And I mean, what we're trying to do is improve the situation. This thing's been going, we've had the landfill there since 1972. It's like so many things, it has evolved. And as a good citizen of Mountain Hill, trying to do something about it, we're investing, as my men will tell you. I tell them, I don't care what you spend, I want to try to fix this problem. And I think many of you here know me and know that that's the way I operate. And so we've got our heart in trying to do this, and we've already spent the money. It's there on site, and it'll be operational. When, Tom? When the power company gets it hooked up, we'll be ready to go. So, and we're hoping that this is going to be a big boost to odor control. Thank you very much.
Any others?
So you're saying right now the odor control machinery is not operational?
No, it's there. It's not operational.
Because of power supply?
We have to see
Electricity.
the piece of equipment has just been manufactured and delivered to us. We've had it on order for 9 months, and I guess because of the COVID situation, whatever it may be, we're just now getting delivery of it. But it's on site, it's purchased, and hopefully it'll be, as soon as Danville gets the power to it, we're gonna have it in operation. And I'm more than happy. We'd love to have anybody wants to come see it, and we're glad to show a tour of exactly what we're doing. And we don't have any hidden agenda.
Any other questions for them? Thank y'all. At 8:33, case S-20-013 is closed to public hearing. I would like to say I want to thank the audience tonight, the ones that signed up to speak, for having patience, controlling their emotions. I know some of them was nervous, but I think you did an excellent job, and we, the commissioners, appreciate you presenting it to us. Thank you. Okay, commissioners, any discussions? If not, Mr. Horn.
Mr. Chairman, in case S-20-013, I believe that the First Piedmont Corporation is making an attempt to rectify some situations at the landfill with this piece of machinery that's not yet operational. And I do understand buildings as old as they do have there on site need to be replaced. And for the obtaining of building permits, in this case, I recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals that they be granted a special use permit, not to expand the landfill because that's under control of the DEQ, but to obtain building permits to demolish and replace buildings currently on site.
With the conditions that is recommended.
With the conditions on the back, excluding number 3.
Excluding number 3. Motion by Mr. Horn, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Harker. Any discussion, any questions? If not, Ms. Ragsdale, will you call the roll for the vote?
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Mr. Haymore?
Yes.
Mr. Harker?
Yes.
Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Case S-20-013 by a vote of 6-4-0 against 2 absent. It's recommended to the Board of Zoning Appeals that a special use permit be issued with the conditions as listed on 1 and 2. At 8:35, case S-20-014 is open to public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case,
Before you do, let's have a 10-minute break before we read.
Recess for 10 minutes. Resume again.
At 8:35.
Mr. Chairman, you're doing a heck of a job up here, sir. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you you're doing a heck of a job.
Yeah.
Well, what you have, anything, you put a sign up on a landfill and they're gonna come with the guns.
Oh, yeah.
What they're not understanding is this has nothing to do with expanding the landfill. This looks like, to me, it's kind of cleaning up the books, making it right with the county, making it right with their.
I wish you'd have been with us when we had that, rain. Remember we had that where they had permit, big sample board, big green light, they were doing things to store, the sample food, so they had to get special use permit to run a trailer down.
Right, store.
We denied. I mean, because they were mining, they wouldn't mine. The whole hearing that night was on to allow the trailer.
Yes, that's right. But let me tell you this. I know the big wave of people that left early thought that I was voting to expand, made a motion to expand the landfill. There's a piece of 1 acre property in the middle of a bunch of M2. But see, when I leave out of here, I know there's gonna be a couple of them because they know me. They're gonna be waiting. But here's the thing. We're not elected. If we were elected officials, we might have to play the ignorance, but I don't have to play the ignorance. Anyway, this next one will be fun too. Jimmy. Jeff, how you doing? Good to see you. job. What's frustrating is people don't sign up. But you know what? I've been doing this a long time, so have you. It's always better to give them a chance to speak. And they have to deal with 3 minutes than for them to go away and then get the piece. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This is when I'm glad I'm not the chairman.
Huh?
This is when I'm glad I'm not the chairman.
Well, you'd be excellent.
Oh, no.
You'd be excellent.
Yeah, I was a little confused on that nomination because I decided I could do that. And then
It was confusing.
It's a one little strip of land within two of the land, and they said they're gonna put an office there, none of the land.
I think they just,
And the press don't get the press, yeah. They advertise what's
I
going
do
on.
think they make it happen.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
But one of them said they, the odor was all right till 2015. Well, it does take a long time to get something.
Well, I hope I explained the thing, I hope I expressed to them, we appreciate them coming out. Oh, no. By all means, you, hey, you, I mean, you, I appreciate you doing it. Are y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready?
Never saw it, though. Old 6 weeks.
Yeah. It's always a tough.
Ms. Ragsdale, would you?
You gonna reopen the, you need to reopen.
Need to reopen, okay. At 8:43, case S-20-014 is reopened.
Case S-20-014, J.D. Sheldon and others have petitioned for an amendment to the conditions attached to the existing special use permit S-19-010 that was granted with conditions on September 10th, 2019 on a total of 450 acres located on Old Richmond Road in the Dane River Election District for recreational uses, ATV trails. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Tammy Wiles is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Wiles,
Mrs.
or Ms. Wiles, good evening and welcome. Do you have anything you'd like to present to the commissioners other than what Ms. Ragsdale's already presented to us?
No, sir.
Any questions for us? If not, I do have people signed up, so you'll get a chance to come back after we get these. Thank you. Mr. John Harris. Good evening and welcome.
This trail system is a really nuisance. Every stipulation that the BZA gave them has been broken numerous times. Numerous times. They just do not obey any of it. And that is known fact. There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 14 dates where they rode past closing time. The very first day of the year, January the 1st, a Monday, they rode all day. Not supposed to ride on Mondays, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. All day. They do like they want to. These rules that the BZA give them, you might as well throw it in the trash can. every one of them. Primitive camping, that's a tent. RVs with generators, that's what's down there. All the time. You spoke real highly of them. They have broke every stipulation that they got and continue to break. They had an all-night ride. They posted on Facebook, must be over with at 2 o'clock. At 2:20, they still ride. All the time. The 300-foot banners they already got, that means nothing. They're within 100 feet or less in some places and have been for a year. They don't care. All of them are always broken. Thank you.
Any questions for him? Thank you, sir. Tanner Owen. Welcome and good evening.
How are y'all? Here, Johnny put it pretty clear. I'm going to talk fast so I can get this in there. Wise man once said, never reward bad behavior. Let me remind everyone in here how this operation began, illegal. Even when y'all, the authorities, told them to shut it down and they had to come here and apply, they kept running the next week. Sheriff's Department had to go down and shut them down again. No was not on their vocabulary. They have no respect for other landowners I've seen. I put up with it, like I told y'all before, for 16 plus years with the deer hunting. They trespass, shoot across public highways, have shot into houses. I could go on and on about this. I'll back it all up. There were stipulations put into place to attempt to minimize the problems this ATV trail was going to have. I was told by the BZA the rules could only get more severe, not less. So why we're even having this meeting, I don't understand. I told everyone in court the rules will be broken. I bet everybody a steak supper, that's on record, it should be. Well, I bet you another steak supper. They're going to continue breaking them. Obviously, the rules are not set clear enough for them to understand. The main problem we have is about the noise. They were supposed to have factory mufflers on these machines. I'm 3,000 feet away from one of the main trails that they get in these big mud pits they've created. Sitting in my house with the windows and doors shut, the TV on at a moderate level, eating supper, I have to listen to this crap every weekend. And if y'all don't believe this, I invite every one of you. Give me your phone numbers, I'll call you at your convenience, you come witness it. Emily Ragsdale has been out there. She will testify. She will tell you that it is loud. There are not factory mufflers on many of these machines. And we're having a real problem getting that enforced. So, when the BZA, Emily Ragsdale, Karen Hayes have told them to stop violating the 300-foot barriers 4 or 5 times, 10 times, I have no idea. They're still doing it today, as Johnny said. They've come up with all kinds of lies, excuses, but the bottom line is they directly lie to their faces, y'all's faces, and they're still doing it. I can prove it. They have no respect for anyone, the authority of the law. Allowing the barrier to come closer to property lines is insane. The 1 hour early on Sundays, well, they ought to be in church praying about something. Obviously, the stipulations of using only factory mufflers is not working. The county has a problem in deciding how to measure the decibel readings for this. If I was going to make an amendment, I want to move the trails farther than 300 feet in order to decrease the noise, since they offer no apology for the noise they create. They've never once asked anybody's concern. They've had a year to comply, a whole year to comply on this, and they haven't.
Mr. Owen, excuse me, your time is up. Any questions for him? Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Phyllis Harris. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Neighboring property owners were told last year that we were responsible to inform the county if the trails were not in compliance. For over a year now, we have been contacting authorities. Not one stipulation has been upheld. You were warned of their view of the law last year. Understandably, you could not take us at our word on that. Now you have the facts. Are you going to refuse the facts? It's all documented. Sheriff's office called for alcohol-related fights, numerous complaints to Sheriff's office for nuisance, multiple hospital-related accidents, one rider airlifted in June from accident, riders 100 feet off property lines, trails blocked off that were too close to property lines, only to be taken down once Ms. Ragsdale had left. And the adverse site is among open land and scattered family dwellings. How is this planning for a better community to allow this? The board is supposed to support the community as a whole, not the personal interest of one property owner. The intrusions you are allowing into our lives by not enforcing the regulations that were put in for reasoning that it would then be workable for both parties. These regulations were not for pick and choose, and the ones you can't deny, then let's go in and change it. The board's authority and our rights as neighboring property owners are not given any reverence by the owners as they have shown in the last year. After these public hearings were scheduled, with the possibility of more lenience and no regard for the community as a whole, I contacted U.S. Congressman Denver Riggleman, who represents the 5th District of Virginia. The zoning board stated last year with over 450 acres owned by the Sheltons, a setback of 300 feet should not be a problem. Because this property is used for special events, has no bearing on the non-compliance. Last year we were flabbergasted because the motion was made to let them have the special permit because of what a good man Mr. Shelton was, and he had events and everything down there. So I would certainly hope that no motion is made this year, that because the personal view of the owner, that's biased, and I would certainly hope you would recuse yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Ms. Ragsdale and Mr. Hunt. The next two people signed up is J.D. Shelton and Tammy Wiles, and I think they're representing
That's the applicant.
they're the applicants, so.
They don't.
Is it anyone else here that did not have opportunity to sign up, wish to address the commissioners on this case? If not, Ms. Wiles. You have anything you'd like to present to the commissioners in rebuttal of what? Any questions for them? At 8:53, case S-20-014 is closed to public hearing. Thank you. Y'all can sit down. Mr. Horn.
Mr. Chairman and ladies and gentlemen, the Sheltons, I've thought a long time about this case and what I would say. You know, the older we get, Mr. Owen, Mr. Iris, the older we get, seems like our tastes get expensive, our toys get expensive. And a lot of times doctors, lawyers, politicians, high-ranking officials in the government, they go out and buy these expensive machines and they get home and realize, hey, we ain't got nowhere to ride. And then you got somebody like Mr. Shelton, got 450 acres of land that's pretty much out in the country, and he sees an opportunity, so he takes it. And he lets people ride, he charges, he does benefits. Just a week before last, there was an article in the Star Tribune about his contribution to the Danville, Pittsylvania County Cancer Society. It was over $16,000. Another incident that's not public, but there was a rider that was injured, not on his particular trail, but injured. And after recovery or during recovery, the insurance had been exhausted and he still owed about $8,300 in medical bills. Well, Mr. Shelton paid it. That's not public. Probably shouldn't have been made public tonight. All that being said, I have visited the site one time. I am not a ATV rider. That's just not my thing. I'm not into horses or any of that other stuff either. I'm just a fat old man that likes being retired. as I said, I visited it one time. He took me around the perimeter. 300 feet's an awful lot of land that cannot be used or that is not permitted to be used, especially when you talk about a 450-acre tract and you take 300 feet away from him all the way around. That's a lot of land. Now, you know, I'm not a mathematician, but that's a lot of property that can't be used. However, I also talked with the sheriff's department, and you're correct. The two number one complaints is number one, noise, and number two, alcohol. Now, Mr. Shelton, I will say to you, Ms. Shelton, Ms. Wiles, sooner or later, somebody's going to have to be the bad guy. I would encourage, because you cannot monitor and police the events that you're having. Sooner or later, somebody's going to have to be made accountable. Somebody's going to have to be a bad guy. I would suggest that if you continue and are allowed to continue, that you hire some people to help you monitor and police everything that's going on. Now, that also being said, I found out tonight, just prior to the meeting, that you were one violation away from being non-compliant and having your special use permit pulled, which would have stopped everything. One more violation and it would have been pulled. And this meeting would be taking place right now. So that being said, in case S20-014, at this time, I do not recommend to the BZA that the amendments be changed, that maintain the current special use permit rules and regulations. And I suggest that you maintain it. You're being watched, and you're being watched very closely. And personally, I don't want to see you get shut down, but you're going to get shut down if you don't change and comply with what's being said or what's been said and established by this BZA. That's my motion.
Motion by Mr. Horn to recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals to deny this special use request. Modification. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Stowe. Any discussions? That motion is with the recommendation from the staff on the second page. Is that correct, Mr.? Right there at the top. Recommendations, the staff recommends.
Correct.
Any discussions? If not, Ms. Ragsdale, will you call the roll?
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Mr. Haymore?
Yes.
Mr. Harker?
Yes.
Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Case S-20-014 by a vote of 6-4, 0 against, 2 absent. Recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals that they deny the request for the amendment to the special use case. At 8:58, case S-20-015 is open to public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case S-20-015, Anissa Weimer has petitioned for a special use permit on 53.56 acres located on Brights Road in the Stanton River Election District for a kennel for boarding dogs. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Anissa Weimer is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Weimer.
Ms. Weimer.
Yes.
It's done. We'll talk after, but it's done. It's over.
Yes, we've moved on.
The case has been closed. That's all I can say. It was 14, according to Ms. Ragsdale,
There were
or according to you, the violations.
there were 14 conditions.
He was one away from having his permit
we've-
pulled. Is that what you told me?
Mr. Horn.
We've cited
Mr. Horn,
three-
do you
three
mind
separate
going
letters.
outside because I've already opened another case?
Ms. Ragsdale,
Please,
could you join
to
us, please?
discuss. Or do you want to call a recess? What you, Mr. Hunt, what's it? We done closed the case.
Yeah, because I, yeah.
All right, at 9 o'clock, we'll have a 5-minute recess. I ain't never had that. That's a new one on me.
Hey, Jeff, we need to get us a sausage biscuit. Right.
I'm glad Mr. Mollis run the show, I can tell you that.
I'm glad I'm not.
Me too.
Huh?
I said, I'm glad you run the show.
Ain't that the truth? I did it for 30 years. I'm glad you got it.
You get back over here. Yeah, I know, we never had that to happen.
Which one's the one in Blair?
Drive-in theater, is that where you got?
Theater. Mountain Road.
Yeah, we got two more in front of that one.
Controversial, I don't know, I don't
Yeah,
guess, but
two more in
no,
front
they,
of that one.
they have to advertise it as a month, you know, they, I see, well, they already got one in my
Got
district.
one, that's,
What's that, November already up?
no, this is the ATV special shop.
Oh, yeah.
This will be a quick one. I mean, he's got pictures to document what he's doing.
Yeah, I look at that. That's in the middle of nowhere. I don't think anybody
Well,
could hear it.
it's about the property, he don't want to store on his
Yeah.
property. That's all he's not against it, special use. He's against it. He wants a setback off the property. That's all it is. And I think we should do that. I mean, if he's got pictures that you're using his land.
Yep. It's been a long time since we had one like this.
I know.
I've never had one.
I said, Tommy Scott, I said, he's not gonna tell anything wrong. I said, whether they're gonna do it or not, I mean, whether this new set. It's not like running to a, there must be something, I mean, you know, it's kind of, it's state of the art. State of the art, yeah, I mean, it's just.
What's the hottest issue you've ever?
Oh, yeah. You know, Jimmy Williams, you know, he
Just
used to be on
established
board,
his own,
too.
I guess.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He's class act and everything. He's down there right in the middle of it. And Angela, I know she probably never feel the same. That was the judge's secretary that's supposed to call her. Yeah. But,
Oh, goodness. Looks like they made a good decision.
how about them being opposed to building a building on 1.34 acres? That's asinine. I mean, that can't hurt a thing. They think that he's gonna come across on the other side of it, but he's going to get a special use bid, so you can deny that if they don't want a landfill. I vote against the landfill. I vote against it. I've been telling them people had enough, you need to build somewhere else.
Nobody wants to make it. No. And a lot of people don't like what they bring back.
Everywhere, yeah.
It's a lot.
I'm gonna call it legally. Ms. Mees? Ms. Mees? Well, why did HF go?
Gavel it in, it'll come back. Yeah, yes. Yep, she did. Hey, you didn't ask me. Kathy, you didn't ask me if you could retire. Just because I was in the hospital, I mean. I didn't know nothing when I went to the hospital. I was out of it. I don't know what it was. Anyway, my two boys carried me down. They were quarantined for 16 days from work and everything. So our oldest boy was a supervisor. That's the last thing I remember seeing him back up against the car. They put me in a wheelchair. The next thing I remember, they stuck that straw down on my nose. And he come back out, the guy, he says, that's pneumonia, and that's that 15 stuff. Anyway, so, hey. Huh? No, no. Giving me a hard time. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, right, yeah. Yep. I'm released. I'm back out in the world. And so that's help. Most best of it, I got to do it. They come up today and install one of those Generac generators, and they're gonna come Thursday and put me a gas log in my fireplace. I'm getting it. Funeral home. Shoot, I had 35 women pull out the front. They weren't supposed to let but 9 in the building. And when they came to the door, I said, I can't let but 9 in, and all of them.
That's a first for me, Mr. Haymo.
As a customer.
This is a first for me in all my meetings that I had that a commissioner's got up and started discussing with somebody in the audience.
I don't know.
Okay, y'all ready?
Go, let's go.
You'll have to reopen the public hearing.
I'm hungry. Ever since they passed me, cleared me up, I've been starving to death.
Yes, but you'll need to reopen the public hearing.
Didn't eat nothing for 2 weeks.
Reopen the public hearing for Ms. Palmer.
At 9:09, case S-20-015 is reopened. Ms. Ragsdale?
I already read the summary.
We done read it. Ms. Weiner. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. How are you?
Fine. Do you have anything you'd like to present to the commission other than what Ms. Ragsdale's already?
We own Flint Ridge Farms, which is a combination of 70 acres. We are just looking to put kennel to board dogs on a 53-acre tract.
Any questions? No one has signed up to speak. Is anyone here wish to address the commissioners on this case and did not have opportunity to sign up? If not, at 9:10, case S-20-015's closed the public hearing. Mr. Harker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we approve case in the case of excuse me in the case S-20-015. I recommend that we approve this case and to the Board of Supervisors as submitted.
Board of Zoning Appeals.
Sorry, Board of Zoning and Appeals. Sorry.
Motion by Mr. Harker, second by Mr. Stowe to recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals a special use permit for a kennel for boarding dogs be permitted. Any discussions? If not, Ms. Ragsdale, will you call the roll?
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Mr. Haymore?
Yes.
Mr. Harker?
Yes.
Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn? Mr. Dudley?
Case S-20-015 by vote of 5-4, 0 against, 3 absent. Recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals a special use permit for a kennel for boarding dogs be permitted. That's 9/11. Case S-20-016 is open to public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case S-20-016, Rodney and Janet Shelton have petitioned for a special use permit on 8.57 acres located on Coleman Mountain Road and on Java Road in the Bannister Election District for the service and repair of all-terrain vehicles, ATVs. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Janet Shelton is here to represent the petition.
Ms. Shelton, welcome and good evening.
Good evening.
Do you have anything you'd like to present to the commissioners other than what Ms. Ragsdale's already presented?
No, that is complete.
Ms. Shelton, in my package, I do not see where you are aiming to place this garage or repair shop on your property. Whereabouts were you aiming to place it?
The shop has already been built in 2013 as a farm shop. My son and my husband are tobacco farmers.
I'm familiar with it. That's the reason I know where the shop is.
Yeah, that is the shop for the
So you're not
repairs.
aiming to build another one?
No,
Okay.
it's the existing shop.
All right, now, are you aware that it has the recommendations that the staff recommends that you have a stored enclosed area that is screened from the right-of-way? Are you aware that that is to be installed?
No,
Ms.
This
Ragsdale?
would just be for the storage of any ATVs that are being worked on, that you store them in an enclosed area that's screened from right of way.
okay, they are stored currently inside the shop.
But the staff is recommending that you do place one around the building somewhere, is that correct?
If you were to store them outside, we would recommend that the condition be that it be in an enclosed, screened area. As long as they're being stored inside, there's no need for that.
Okay, but if we needed them outside, a screen to be provided.
A
That would be our
screen area
recommendation.
has to be around it.
Okay.
Is that correct?
It could just be a fence that is slatted and screened.
Right, I mean, a fence has to
Right.
be installed for the things between the fence and the building if you leave the vehicles out, is that correct?
We would recommend that they were stored in some type of enclosed area, and that could be a fence, yes.
You don't have no objections to that
No,
being
no
added to the,
No objections.
I do have someone sign up, so you'll get to come back
Okay.
for the rebuttal. Mr. Franklin Crowder? Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Let me take his mask off so I can talk and breathe.
Yes, sir.
I'm Franklin Crowder. I'm here speaking on behalf of my wife. We do have property that joins Rodney and Janet's property. We're not contesting a special use permit. That's not why we're here. We are very concerned that a garage always have a lot of junk stuff, they discard, stuff like that. If you go to any garage, you can see it. So we are very concerned about this junk, maybe throw it on our property line. We do have a problem on the other side with junk thrown on the property line and the pasture fence. Now, what we would like to see is a buffer zone put there so this junk will not be placed on our property line oil on our property.
Do you have any pictures or anything you'd like to present?
Yeah, I
If
have.
you don't mind, give them over there to Mr. Horn. Let them start.
That's the pictures we have on the other side of our property. We do have more, but I just brought those.
Right.
That stuff doesn't belong to you, but
That-
it's on your property.
It's on the property fence, also on the pasture fence. None of that belongs to me.
Does it belong to the Sheltons?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Crowder? Yo, if I understand this, you're not opposing the special use permit or anything. All you asking for is protection of the property line, that a setback be granted to keep any repair vehicles or anything, even though we do have recommendations, so they have a fence to store it in, but that's all you asking, is that?
That's right.
Any questions for him?
Mr. Crowder, have you addressed this to the Sheltons?
He has been called to clean it up. Me and my wife, we went over there to clean up some of our property. He was called. He said he wasn't going to clean it up then because snakes, but he would clean it up later on. Now, how much later on, I don't know.
Thank you, your time is up.
Okay.
Any questions for Mr. Crowder before he leaves that the other you've asked? All right, is no one else has signed up? Does anyone come in late wish to address on this case? If not, Ms. Shelton, you have a chance to rebuttal.
I'm not aware of the pictures of anything on our property line, so if I may see what is being,
Well, that, this will be kept, this will
Okay.
go with the, we cannot give it back.
oh,
But-
okay. Oh, I
but,
see what you mean,
I
the
would
pictures.
suggest you get with Mr. and Ms. Crowder and discuss what they are talking about, would be my suggestion.
Yes, yes.
Ms. Henderson is not here. Is anything else you'd like to have?
No, sir.
Okay. At 9:19, case S-20-016 is closed to public hearing. Ms. Henderson's not here. If well, somebody can make a motion for her.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recuse myself from this case since I didn't hear it all. I was out of
Right.
the room.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion in this case, S-20-016. I recommend that we accept this application and recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals to approve it with the recommendations that are put in here by staff. And in addition to that, a 35-foot setback on property line.
Motion by Mr. Hawker to recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals that a special use permit for the service and repair of all-terrain vehicles be granted with conditions of the recommendations of the staff plus a 35-foot setback on the property lines.
Second it.
Seconded by Mr. Stowe. Any discussions? Ms. Ragsdale, will you call the roll?
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Mr. Haymore?
Yes.
Mr. Harker?
Yes.
Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn?
Abstain.
Mr. Dudley?
Case S-20-016 by a vote of 5-4, 0 against, 1 abstain, 2 absent. Recommend to the Board of Supervisors that a special use permit for the service and repair of all-terrain vehicles be granted. At 9:20, case S-20-017 is open to public hearing. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case S-20-017, Randy Hogan has petitioned for a special use permit on a total of 9.09 acres located on U.S. Highway 29 North and on Mount View Road in the Westover Election District for a drive-in movie theater. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Randy Hogan is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Hogan. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening and welcome.
Do you have anything you would like to present to the commissioners other than what Ms. Ragsdale's already presented to us?
Other than I'm gonna have a border around the property. I'm gonna have the property planted around with trees. So keep all the noise away from the neighborhood. And I think the drive-in movie theater is just gonna be like during the summertime. When it gets dark at 9 o'clock, it probably will be closed around 11:30 to 12. During the week, it's just probably be a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night movie theater. If it's open on Thursday nights, it'll be mainly for the children and the family, for the parents that would like to get out and maybe watch a Disney movie. Friday nights, just be basic movies. It won't be no special extravaganza movies. It'll just be something for the family and for everybody to get together. Throughout the coronavirus, there's nowhere to go, really hardly, to take your family, to be social distance. The theater, I don't know exactly how many cars it would hold, but if y'all do give me the permission to open it, I won't have it no more than halfway full of capacity, so the cars would have adequate room from each other, and have a nice concession stand, in which that would be mobile, and also it would be some maybe 7 porta-johns, in which they'd be 6 feet apart, and the porta-johns will allow the females on one side and the males on the other. And I think it'd be a great opportunity for the Pennsylvania County area to have something for us here in Danville.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Any questions for Mr. Hogan? I do have people signed up, so you'll get to come back
Okay.
and rebuttal after I call it.
All
Thank
right.
you. You may
All
have
right.
a
Thank
seat. Mr. Thomas Marsh.
Mr. Chairman, while he's coming forward, I was handed this information outside by 2 people who were not wearing face masks. So this information comes from the Virginia Department of Highway Safety, lists accidents in that area for the past 5 years and the injuries related to those accidents. This is just for traffic, and so she asked me to pass that around and get it back in Ms. Ragsdale.
Thank you. My
Good
name's
evening.
Thomas W.
Welcome.
Morse. I live at 3241 Virginia Lane in Blairmont. I'm speaking to oppose the special use permit for this property. This is like old home because in 2 other states I sit on planning commissions. I'm well aware of how it works. The recommendations of staff go a long ways. You have the information I was going to bring up, but you have it in front of you as far as the State Highway Department. I'm concerned that there's no planning that has been done for this project. Listening to the young man speak, not knowing the number of cars that can be housed or parked, concerns me. It concerns me that there hasn't been a traffic study. There hasn't been any public notice other than this special use permit. And I'm wondering, is it because the property value has decreased? Now, when I moved to Virginia, particularly Danville, I had been fortunate to come from Maryland and from James City County and Middlesex County. All the property values in those localities increased at least 11% a year. 11%. That's not seen in this county. With changes that you're all anticipating to put, it will decrease the property value. I don't want this, quote unquote, in my backyard. I don't want beer bottles in my backyard. I don't want the noise in my backyard. I am concerned about the traffic and the safety. I would advise that before you even consider this, you look at all ramifications. All ramifications. They're environmental, traffic, and other words, and safety. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Morris? Thank you, sir. Ms. Susan Stevens. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you, sir. My name is Susan Stevens. I live at 3342 Brackenhouse Road. My husband and I are lifelong residents of the county. I am a retired school teacher. My husband has been in real estate for approximately 40 years. We are here tonight to oppose the granting of this special use permit to put a drive-in movie theater in our neighborhood, and more specifically in my backyard. Today, I measured from my back door to the beginning of this property, and it was 175 feet, literally in my backyard. We have lived in this neighborhood for 38 years and have always enjoyed the peace and security and safety that it offers. A drive-in movie theater would disrupt our lifestyles and frankly would not be compatible to anyone living in our neighborhood. The theater would have several adverse effects that would affect the sense of safety, peace, and security of our neighborhood. The first adverse effect would be the noise and lights. Of course, a movie theater operates at night, and that's usually the time when people are relaxing, watching TV, sitting out in their backyard. We would have lights in our windows. He's saying at 11, 12 o'clock at night. I plan on being in bed, and I'd like to sleep without lights and noise outside. Strangers in my backyard is not exactly what I would like to have, and I think that has an adverse effect on our sense of security and peace. Of course, the safety issues, and you have been given the report from, I think it was VDOT or DMV. I have also researched that, and both entrances to Blairmont are extremely dangerous. It has been the site of numerous accidents, and we have seen them and we have heard them. There have been many fatalities. My husband was actually in an accident. He was turning into Mount View Road from coming out of Danville. A drunk driver came across Livestock Market Road, hit him in the passenger side, totaled his vehicle, but thankfully he was not injured. This is a very, very dangerous section. Visibility is limited in both directions, whether you come out the Mount View or the main Blairmont entrance, and cars do not abide by the 45-mile-per-hour speed limit there. And I think you have the accident reports, and I won't go into that. You have seen those. The third adverse effect is the possible use of alcohol or other substances that may be consumed by patrons. I just think that that's a possibility, and it would greatly increase the danger of driving after such.
Ms. Stevens, your time is up.
Okay. Decrease in property values. My husband is a realtor. He can attest to that, and he has given many appraisals, and he knows that it would decrease our property value.
Thank you. Tony Knuckles. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for your time. My name is Tony Knuckles. I am a former resident in Blairmont. I was born and raised in Danville, lived my life in Blairmont with my parents until I got married. I'm now a Cowens resident, but I am here to speak in opposition to this for many reasons. I grew up in this peaceful, quiet neighborhood. As Ms. Stevens mentioned, I'm a school teacher also. And she made a lot of points that I would like to make. My son currently lives with my father in Blairmont. He is a widower, as we lost my mom 3 years ago, and he is in the midst of his 41st year living in this quiet, peaceful neighborhood. I respectfully ask that you not change the character of Blairmont. It is a neighborhood I love, and by allowing a drive-in theater to be built literally in the backyard of my father's yard and all the other neighbors who live in this community, especially the ones whose property are adjacent to this proposed theater. There are so many reasons why I believe this is a detriment to the Blairmont community, and I'm just going to list a few that is going to reiterate what others have spoken of. It is a traffic hazard. As Ms. Stevens mentioned, her husband had a car accident at the intersection of Mountain View and 29. My husband had an accident in that same. Thankfully, he escaped without injury, but he did total his vehicle. That happened in the early 90s. It is a distraction to drivers. This proposed theater is going to be not only a nuisance to the neighbors, but passersby on the highway are going to see a screen and be distracted by that, and I think that's a danger. It is going to definitely be a nuisance for noise. There's been a movement across this nation, particularly since COVID, that many musicians and bands are selling out drive-in theaters across the nation for concerts. And I just cannot fathom that in my father's backyard. I just can't. It is going to decrease the value of the property, not just of the people whose land abut this property, but everyone in this neighborhood. As Ms. Stevens mentioned, there are 2 entrances to this neighborhood, both of which are dangerous, and I cannot even imagine on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night that there is an event going on that our entrances to our neighborhood are going to be blocked in some way, or at least it's going to be made difficult to get to our homes. So I am very much in opposition of this. I appreciate your time for allowing me to speak, and thank you for your time.
Any questions? Thank you. Mr. Bill Cubbert. Bill Cubbert. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for the time and the opportunity. I know a few members of this committee, to all the members from Pittsylvania County. I'm Bill Colbert. I'm a resident of Blairmont for 35 years. So I know a lot of members of that area. So points I want to make are specific. I work for Virginia Safety Action Program, VASAP, so I understand about the traffic situation. That's right there on 29, Livestock Road in Mount View, numerous accidents. People rolling from 29 south to 29 north. Traffic is a problem. Number 2, safety. The more people, the more vehicles, the more problems. Specifically, the lighting, problems. Noise, problem. You can't control all those people in a confined area. You can't do it. You can have all the rules, all the walls, all the fences, you just cannot do it. More people, more problem. With that, also, criminal activity in our neighborhood. We don't want that. Let's put it in your neighborhood. Do you want it? Do you want it? Do you want it in a drive-in movie next to your property, your land value? I don't think so. The bottom line, we don't want it, we don't need it, and we don't want to have it. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you. Mr. Randolph Jones. Yeah. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone. Good evening to everybody from Pittsylvania County. My name is Randolph Jones. I'm retired military for 31 years. And I live, if she's 175 yards away, I'm about 50 to 75. The land joins my land. I can walk right down straight to it anytime. The problem is, I spoke with Mr. Hogan, and everything he said tonight, he never told me. Never mentioned a theater or nothing out there. So what I'm saying is that I'm so close to this place, there's no walls that can keep me from really seeing over in it, unless he build it higher than this building. Because I'm sitting on the hill, he's down here. And the accidents I've seen at my entrance up there, when they put the sheet over the car, it's fatality. I've been up there taking pictures, seeing it. The county, if you allow this, you're going to have to put stoplights at Blairmont and Mount View. I live on Mount View, 5244. And that's going to cost the taxpayers money to put those lights up, and the county. So what I'm saying, I'm opposing to this theater out here with the noises, lights. Ms. Stevens said it all for me, because I'm the closest thing in here to it. I mow grass right on the line, and I have no problem with him putting something else out there, because he told me he was going to build a house. He told me he was going to put the produce out there, everything but a theater. So he maybe changed his mind. People can change their mind. But me, being a retiree, I found this neighborhood a very quiet neighborhood, very quiet. You don't see police officers coming through this neighborhood because it's no type crime I know of around there. I've been over there approximately almost 6 years. I moved from a neighborhood because of the activities going around there. So I like to continue my last years, or however, peacefully, calmly, and that's why I retired from the military, to settle down. So, to closing, I'm just opposing this special permit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Any questions?
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Jones got a question.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Debbie McCormick. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, thank you. I am Debbie McCormick. First of all, I have a petition. It's 274 signatures. Some are in person, some are online. It's mainly neighborhood and family members, children.
Present it to Mr. Horn, let him start passing around. Thank you for doing it.
It's also on that petition, it's one page of just some comments, some of the same things that have been said here tonight. I know a lot of the neighborhood, some of the individuals would like to come because of COVID though, and high risk, they aren't able to be here tonight. So my family and I are here to oppose the drive-in movie theater that would adjoin Blairmont community and also my backyard, and I do mean my backyard, right in my backyard. So I don't know of anybody that would want that in their neighborhood. And my husband and several neighbors were told by Mr. Hogan as well that it was going to be a pumpkin patch. So I guess we went from pumpkin patch to a drive-in movie theater. So as a lot of people have said here tonight, I'll be repeating some of the same comments. We do live in a quiet, peaceful neighborhood. My family and I, we have been there for over 30 years, and we're afraid it would bring a lot of noise, garbage, traffic, property values would go down. I can't imagine movies late at night. And I was a little hesitant to say this, but I'll go ahead because it's going to affect her. Some of you know my daughter. We have a special needs daughter who, she doesn't understand noise, crowds, that sort of thing, and this is really going to disrupt her if it's passed. Her bedroom is on the back of the house, which faces the backyard. I just can't imagine what that's going to do to her. She has autism, so if you know anybody with autism, you know what that entails, and noise and crowds can cause big issues for mom and dad with her. So anyway, as a lot of people have said, there's so many accidents that have occurred there, and just last summer, a fatality right there at the back entrance to Mount View Road, which the gentleman just spoke of. So we're worried about that. And we just can't imagine it. I just can't imagine what it would do to the property. Late at night, the trash, the garbage, everybody has already spoke about that, beer cans, drinking, alcohol, drunk drivers. And the other thing we're worried about, it's just nothing but a kudzu field. It's 9 acres of kudzu. And I'm being honest, it's 9 acres of kudzu. So what are they doing to get rid of that? I know this isn't your issue, but I wanted to bring it up tonight. I mean, what are you spraying back there to kill that kudzu? My daughter's already had cancer. We've dealt with that, and I know Roundup and some of those products contain carcinogenics that are known.
Ms. McCormick, your time is up.
Okay, all right, thank you very much for your time.
Any questions for, thank you. Tanya, is that Willard or Millard?
Repeat it again.
318 Douglas Court.
Got tired and went home.
She must have got tired and gone home then. Audie Tompkins. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you. Listen, I'll be really short. My neighbors have already covered all of my points. My property actually touches this as well. This drive-in theater would be right in my backyard. The one thing that I really would like to point out, try to imagine a drive-in theater in a residential area. It's on both sides of 29, many, many houses, probably 100 plus in just Blairmont. But across the street there are two. So I just ask you to please turn this thing down. It's right in the middle of all these residences. Thank you very much.
Any questions for him? Thank you, sir. Mr. Clarence Stevens. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening to each one of you. My name is Clarence Stevens. I live at 2934 Finch Drive in Blairmont. I didn't come to speak tonight, but when I got here, I was given this petition. And the petition is from the church in the area, and they told me to pass it in.
Please give it to Mr. Horn. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
But when I got here and I heard the owner saying what he wanted to do and what he had told some of the other people he was gonna do, and I'm saying to myself, right away, this is starting off wrong. You know? He's starting off wrong. And who would want a drive-in theater with Porta Johns in their backyard? I had a son that had an accident right there on Mountain View and Livestock Road years ago. I don't want that to happen to nobody. It was a tragedy. But he and my daughter were fine. They didn't get hurt. But it was just a tragedy for him because he was at a young age. But gentlemen and ladies of this board, just think, if this was in your backyard, how would you like to have it in your backyard? You're sitting here tonight and you have to almost pass judgment and pass it up to the supervisors. But how would you like to have this in your backyard? You wouldn't want it. I don't want it. And all of these people in here tonight don't want it. So I want you to think about it. We have a quiet neighborhood, and Lord knows I want to keep it that way. I don't want nobody coming down my street spinning tires, trying to find out how to get back to the drive-in theater. I don't want none of that. I don't want that. But you all think about it. If you were living in the neighborhood and we were passing judgment for you all to be, for him to put a theater in your backyard, you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? That is all I have signed up. Is anyone here came in late, did not have up? Yes, sir. Please come give your name and address, please.
My name is Calvin Giles. I live at 4340 US Highway 29, which is on the corner of Livestock Road. It's a big brick house with the trees. It has all the deer out in the yard and all the leaves. We also own the store across the street on Mount View Road in 29, which our road frontage on there is directly across the road from the road frontage of this property we're talking about. For years, I've known that place as a condominium for groundhogs. And I do recommend, and I commend Mr. Hogan for the cleanup job he's done right now. It looks great. But about 1 week of sunshine and about 2 days of rain, and it'll be back where it was before. You can ask anybody with a railroad, you can ask anybody with the State Highway Department, that he's got a real problem. But one of our main concerns, and I have a concern with everything everybody's brought up tonight, I concur. The accidents are so bad out there that when I hear a loud noise and I'm in the house, I holler at the wife, dial 911, and I run straight to the intersection. And I haven't been wrong many times. It was a bad accident out there. But one of the concerns I've had after what I've heard tonight is I wondered how Mr. Hogan come up with this idea. Did he do a feasibility study, pay anybody to do anything? But after I hear him get up here and say what he says, we're going into a Mickey Mouse theater. This is a Mickey Mouse operation. Oh yeah, Porta Johns? The concession stand's gonna be a trailer? I mean, is it gonna be a screen up there? Is that gonna be something portable too? And one of my great fears is he's gonna come in with a Mickey Mouse operation. It's not gonna work. And then next thing we know, we're gonna have kudzu all over fences out there and kudzu going all over TV screens. It's gonna look worse than what it does now. The land value that he paid for that land, once he opens it up and does a halfway job and closes back up, the value won't be what he's put back into the land, even with the additions to it, let alone what it's going to do to all of us. And we own 24 and a half acres over in that corner and another acre there, and we got 10 more acres behind that we can kind of control that was part of our farm. And we strongly do not want to see this out there. I keep up the storefront. I keep the road clear. Every time the state came and cut the kudzu in, immediately when they left, I had to go in and walk on my property line because they would turn with a tractor, kudzu vines hanging on the mower. They would run one wheel on the ground, on the grass, one wheel on the road, and the vine would drop off on our property where I keep cut. So I had to go out there constantly and pick up the vines and bag it to get rid of it, to keep the kudzu on the other side of the road. Now, one last thing, and you'll think this is funny. I remember when I went to the drive-in.
Sir, your time is up, so
When I went
I
to the
appreciate
drive-in
it.
and the movie went off, or the power went off.
Sir,
and the screen
we've
went
been
blank,
here all night, so
we
we
blew the
appreciate
horn
you,
like crazy.
and thank you
Grandma
for
listened
coming.
to them horns blow.
Thank you. Is it anybody else? You have already spoken.
Can I give this to him?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Is it anybody else wish to speak to the commissioners on this? If not, Mr. Hogan?
Now, first and foremost, I would like to say that I did talk to some of the neighbors. And I did talk about building a pumpkin patch. I even talked to Miss Ragsdale, the people in the zoning. They said it was zoned for commercial, not horticulture. So I couldn't plant 2 to 3 acres of pumpkins. So, and since I come up with a different idea because of the layout of the landscape of the property, I thought maybe it would be a great idea for a drive-in movie theater. So when I did talk about produce, I talked to Miss Ragsdale about maybe plant some strawberries for the children so we can have use of the property. All that was, you can't do this. It's commercial. And then she was telling me about you can build commercial buildings there or a grocery store. I understand the neighbors complaining about traffic in the intersection, but if it's a grocery store there, it'd be the same traffic. I mean, what if it was a real popular grocery store right there on the corner and all the traffic coming in and out? And what I noticed about when I went down to Eaton drive-in movie theater, as people was coming out of the movie theater, everything is in a slow go. It's kind of like the Danville, Pennsylvania County Fair. When people's going in the fair, they're only going 5 miles an hour. And when people's coming out the fair, now when they get down there towards Danville somewhere, they might do the speed limit, but I don't see people just flying in and out of drive-in movie theater. And as far as the drinking and loud noise, if I'm not selling alcohol for no means to nobody. So if I catch you drinking now, you automatically going to be leaving the property. And I understand how neighbors feel about their backyards. I mean, whatever I can do to where they won't see the drive-in theater. And one of the guys was talking about I didn't have no plan in motion. And I did. I hired a lady to come down there, design the property, putting the trees up all around the property. And these trees are going to be anywhere from 10 to 14 feet high. So I don't see no visibility of the screen from being seen from the highway or any neighbor's house. And I understand how the neighbors feel. I do apologize if they feel like there's a change, within the neighborhood. But if y'all ain't aware, right there on the corner, I was planning on building me a house there. So y'all not going to be alone in the neighborhood because I'm going to be a part of it. So having a drive-in behind the neighborhood, I want to be able to see it from where I build my house. And I talked to Ms. Ragsdale about that. So, I mean, I can understand the changes. But if y'all give me the chance just to see it and say, hey, because it's going to take me at least 2 years to do it. I mean, in a working class man, I work 12 hours every day. I mean, I got an 18-wheeler. I don't park up at, but I park at the Pilot. At 5:30 in the morning, I'll be up working. So I'm no far as a high-class businessman looking for an investment to quit my day job. I wouldn't do that. The only thing I was looking for was something for the family, something for y'all's family, somewhere where y'all can have something to take your family and enjoy it. As far as people being allowed, they're going to have the radios in their cars playing. If I hear loud, I'm going to like anybody else. I'm going to say something. And me being a part of that community and knowing how the people in the community feel, I feel the same way. I mean, I got a 16-year-old son. He likes playing loud music. I ask him how many times I get on him when I feel like the neighbors can hear it. And that's how I feel about a community. If anyone can open up something and treat it with the most respect as far as everybody, it would be me. My desire to make sure that, hey, we're not alone here. And if I do get the opportunity to build my house up there, then I won't be alone. We'll all be together. So I won't just be another neighbor. I'm going to be your neighbor. So having the drive-in, if I get the opportunity to do it, and I'll prove to the neighborhood that it's just going to be a family environment. It's no drinking, no loud music, If I can hear your call from where I'm standing at, then I know the neighbors can. So I will be the one to say, hey, can you turn your radio down a little bit? And I'm going to have a sign as soon as you come in. I'm going to give everybody a warning. If I have to sit there and tell you twice to turn your radio down because it's too loud, I'm going to ask you to leave the property. And if anybody's over there being loud, carrying on, I'm not going to try to have that. I want a family environment. I mean, I have a daughter that's going on 2 years old. So I know what it's like to have kids. And for people that have children, they're more than welcome to come over there. And the neighbors, I know they talk like, well, they can see it. They won't be able to see it. And I make sure by planting the trees that they want. I mean, what can I do to help you? That's the only thing I want to do. And 29, as he says, I want to plant trees on 29. And the movie theater screen, it ain't going to be like the real big one like you probably see down at Eaton or something. It's going to be a smaller version. I mean, this place ain't going to be nothing like Eaton. I want it to be better. And I want it to be better for the community. And I want it to be better for Danville and Pittsylvania County and hopefully Lynchburg. And I think it'll be great. And if everybody just gives me the opportunity and say, hey, once you open it, I give you 7 months, Randy. And if I fail to run it within the neighborhood compliance, then tell me. I'll find a different idea. But if it's something that everybody likes, then we'll work with it. And I don't really see it bringing value down because it's bringing more people out there. And if I build my house right down on the corner, it's in my backyard, and I got some trees planted or whatever it takes, I mean, to where it's not being visible to my home. So, I mean, when you're stepping out y'all's backyard now, you're already looking at some trees. You're looking at some kudzu. And I have been treating the kudzu. I've been working very hard on it because I want the neighborhood to look better. If anything, before I purchased that property, it was looking worse than it is now. And me planting trees and bringing structure to the neighborhood and having a nice, well-run, well-established place for children and teenagers and families, I think it'll be a great opportunity. And it's just giving me the opportunity to just say, hey, Randy, try it. And if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. I mean, for all means, I'm not going to quit my daytime job. That's what anybody thinks. I just want to do it for my children, my family, my mom. I want to be able to take my mom to a place. She's 60-some years old, and knowing that she's safe and there's a place she can go. Yeah, it might not be in a brand new movie, but it's something that I can spend time with her. And social distance is the best thing that we can offer right this point in time. Being in the car, being confined, and enjoying yourself. Not about who am I sitting close to. Because if that's what it's about, it'd be like that tonight. It's not. Everybody's spaced out. I just want to have the opportunity to hopefully put everything together. I wasn't prepared tonight. I didn't even know I was going to get up here and talk. And I understand, and I apologize for y'all being up so late, because we all probably got work tomorrow. I did get some plans drew out and laid out for the drive-in theater. Miss Ragsdale had a copy. I seen the guy earlier from First Piedmont. They had a layout of the property, and I had mine sitting at home, sitting on the microwave, wondering if I'm gonna make it here tonight on time or not, because I didn't want to be late. But I just close my statement with that and just give me the opportunity and the chance to see if anything comes out. And thank y'all.
Thank you. Any question for Mr. Hogan? Thank you, sir. At 10 o'clock, Case S-20-017 is closed to public hearing.
Somebody back there waving their hand.
I'm sorry, sir, I have already asked for everybody to come in.
We done heard enough.
That's closed.
I've already closed it. I'm sorry, sir. You can speak at the Board of Zoning Appeals. I have already closed it, if you wish to speak, sir. Yeah, well, I've just had, Jay. What do
The
y'all
public
wish to-
hearing portion had completed. Mr. Hogan came up for rebuttal.
Right,
When you said, are there any questions, that was for the commissioners,
right.
not for the citizens. Public
That's
hearing
right.
was over. Thank you.
Nope. Okay.
Mr. Haymore.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I'm a member of Rescue Squad, and I know for a fact that that intersection is the worst intersection on Route 29, as I have assisted Blouse on a number of occasions with wrecks there. Our notes from the Highway Department, Mr. Crowder J., has got some concerns about that area. It is, and I'm very much aware of that subdivision, as I financed a ton of houses in that area when I was with First Federal Savings and Loan, one of the nicest subdivisions in Pittsylvania County. I have received as much or more opposition in this case than any case in my district. I have no problem, Mr. Chairman, in case 20017 to deny the special use permit for a drive-in theater.
Motion by Mr. Haymore to deny the special use permit. Is there a second?
Second.
Who second? Mr. Hawker. Any discussions? If not, Ms. Ragsdale, will you call the roll for the vote?
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Meeks?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson? Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Case S-20-017 by a vote of 6-4-0 against 2 absent, recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals that they deny this special use permit for a drive-in movie theater. I would like to thank everybody tonight for being present, presenting their opinions, and being courteous to everyone, and we thank you. That's what Pittsylvania County is made of, is to do it, and thank y'all. Oh, Ms. Ragsdale or Mr. Hunt, any old business? No, sir. And we've covered the new business. So, at 10:04, meeting adjourned.